Tasya Yananjalasalakaya Chakshan Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupristam Sthapanam Natare Swayamrupakaramayam Janati Swavadantika Nama Vishnavaraka Sarasa Uttari Shrimate Bhakti Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Govani Pachayani Nivishesha Shanivari Pasatana Vasatana Vanchagapati Visa Kripa Sanvivacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhavanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for allowing me to share a few thoughts and realizations this morning. Do we need French translation? No, huh? No. Everybody speaks English. English?
I will go French here.
Okay, good. All right. So we are reading from Canto 9, chapter 9, verse number 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Let's see if I can chant this. Tarayisyati te vegam. Tarayisyati te vegam. Urastvatma sharininam. Urastvatma sharininam. Yasmin uttam idam puttam.
Yasmin uttam idam puttam.
Yasmin uttam idam puttam.
Yasmin uttam idam puttam.
Vishvam Sati Vatantasu.
Vishvam Sati Vatantasu.
Vishvam Sati Vatantasu.
Vishvam Sati Vatantasu.
Somebody wants to chant?
Narayasyanti te vegam.
Narayasyanti te vegam.
Rudrastvatma sharirinam.
Rudrastvatma sharirinam.
Yasminotamidam proktam.
Yasminotamidam proktam.
Vishvam sati vatantushu.
Vishvam sati vatantushu.
Narayasyati te vegam.
Narayasyati te vegam.
Rudrastvatma sharirinam.
Rudrastvatma sharirinam.
Yasminotam idam protam.
Yasminotam idam protam.
Vishvam shati vatantushu.
Vishvam sati vatantushu.
Ladies.
Narayasyati te vegam. Rudrastvatma sharirinam. Yasminotam idam protam. Vishvam sati vatantushu.
Tarayisyati.
Narayasyati.
Will sustain.
Will sustain.
Te.
Te.
You.
You.
Vegam.
Vegam.
Force of the waves.
Force of the waves.
Rudra.
Rudra.
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
To. Indeed.
Indeed.
Atma.
Atma.
The super soul.
The super soul.
Saririnam.
Sharirinam.
Of all embodied souls.
Of all embodied souls.
Yasmin.
Yasmin,
in whom
in whom
Uttam
Uttam
is situated in the longitude.
is situated in longitude.
Idam,
Idam,
this whole universe.
this whole universe.
Uttam,
Uttam,
latitude.
latitude.
Vishvam,
Vishvam,
the whole universe.
the whole universe.
Shakti,
Shakti,
a cloth.
a cloth.
Eva,
Eva,
as.
as.
Tantushu,
Tantushu,
in threads.
in threads.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Like a cloth woven of threads extending for its length and breadth, this entire universe, in all its latitude and longitude, is situated under the different potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the incarnation of the Lord, and thus he represents the super soul in the embodied soul. He can sustain your forceful waves on his head. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The water of the Ganges is supposed to rest on the head of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who sustains the entire universe by different potencies. Lord Shiva is described in the Brahma Samhita. Shiram yatara dadivikara vishesha yoga sanjayatina hitata pritagasti hito yasam bhutam apitata samupatti kayat govindamari purusham tamam bhajami. Milk changes into yogurt when mixed with a yogurt culture. But actually, yogurt is constitutionally nothing but milk. Similarly, Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes the form of Lord Shiva for the special purpose of material transactions. I offer my obeisances at Lord Govinda's lotus feet. Lord Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same sense that yogurt is also milk, although at the same time it is not milk. For the maintenance of the material world, there are three incarnations, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is Vishnu in an incarnation for the mode of ignorance. The material world exists predominantly in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, Lord Shiva is compared here to the longitude and latitude of the entire universe, which resembles a cloth woven of threads extending for both its length and breadth. Yes, so Krishna is actually the only personality who has no duties. Everyone else has all different kinds of duties. But Krishna, he can just play with his cows and cow herd friends and gopis and. So, but to manage the whole creation of all the universes, he manifests himself in different potencies. Yes, you have to come around. Thank you. Yes, he manifests himself in all different potencies. And the demigods, they take control of all different aspects of the creation. So we can compare it like the ministers in a government, right? So the president is the chief, and there's so many different ministers who keep all different aspects of the government functioning and so on. And yeah, and amongst the demigods, Lord Shiva is pretty special. You know? It is said that, how is it? Well, Krishna has 100% of all his amazing qualities, and Lord Shiva, he has 84. more than everyone else amongst the demigods. Lord Brahma, 78. Even a normal jiva can come up to 78%. And I found that reference that yes, other demigods, they often have less percentage. Yes. So, and anybody knows how many demigods there are? I forgot to search it on the folio, but there's probably thousands, right? So many. So many. And yeah, let us remember that the demigods, they are actually not pure devotees. They like to be worshipped. They're attached to getting that worship, you know? And that's why they give so easily material benedictions, just to make sure the puja continues. That's what happens when we are attached to being worshipped. You know, we try and give those worshippers some little blessings and all that, just to make sure, yes, they will continue. Because if we don't give that, then they may stop worshipping. You know, so the demigods are quite attached to that, to being worshipped. You know. I have collected a few interesting little things in my verse book about the demigods. Like in 4:1935, and the verse, it says, "You should know very well that even amongst demigods there are many unwanted desires." Yes, many unwanted desires. And I mean, we know Lord Indra, for example, you know, he has a bit of a problem getting very quickly envious. Govardhan Puja, we know that pastime, where he gets completely enraged. I'm not getting my worship, you know, and so on. To the point where he's trying to actually kill the Brijvasis, you know, I mean, my God. You could say it almost seems like a bit demoniac even. But of course we know there's also the aspect there that the Leela is meant to happen, you know. And there is one purport, I believe, in the 10th canto, where it says that actually Indra performs a great service to the Lord, you know, and he is acting, under Yoga Maya. And he is enhancing the love of the Brijvasis to Krishna by sending that rain and making them all frightened and so on, you know. So actually, there's always different angles of vision to a pastime. But then we also know Prithu Maharaj, when he wanted to do the 100th horse sacrifice, you know, while he had 99 and Indra was the only one who had performed the 100, no problem. But as soon as Prithu Maharaj wanted to perform the 100th, then Indra was feeling threatened in his superior position. And what did he do? He stole the horse. My God. I mean, that's envy, you know. Stealing the horse so the sacrifice can't go on. And interestingly, momentarily, Prithu Maharaj also was affected by this envy. And the whole stealing of the horse was going back and forward. And there's also one purport where Prabhupada says both Indra and Prithu Maharaj were affected by anger and envy. So that's how contagious envy is, you know. But then Prithu Maharaj was very quickly re-established in his transcendental position by Lord Brahma coming and appealing to him and saying, hey, you're already a perfect devotee. You don't need this 100th horse sacrifice, no need. So then he let go of it. And so, and externally it looked like Indra was the winner, right? Because Prithu Maharaj gave up his desire of doing the 100 horse sacrifice. But now, ultimately, Prithu Maharaj was the winner. Yeah, so ultimately, Prithu Maharaj was the winner, because humility is always glorious, right? And Indra also later, he felt this, and he went and apologized to Prithu Maharaj. So yeah, and I mean, Brahma, we also have the story where, he got bewildered and stole the boys and calves, and he wanted to see whether he is not superior after all, And then also later there's that funny little story when Lord Brahma wants to visit the Lord in Vaikuntha, and the gatekeepers ask, "Oh, who are you?" And Lord Brahma gets all irritated. "What do you mean? You don't know? I'm Lord Brahma." So, and then what does the Lord do? He calls all the Lord Brahmas of all the universes, just to give him a little bit of equal association. So, and that made him a little more humble. Okay, I'm not the only Lord Brahma. And there's even some with 10 heads, 100 heads, 1,000 heads. I have only 4 heads. I'm a small timer here. So, there's plenty of stories which illustrate that, yes, the demigods are not pure devotees. They have their material desires. They are attached to be worshipped and to enjoy that power and control and that supremacy, And we have to be careful. We can also sometimes become like little demigods, having some position, some title, some influence, some little opulence, Yes. Actually, I once heard, I did not research it, but I once heard that apparently Prabhupada said that many of his disciples would become demigods. So, because somebody has to play the role, and do those services, and that has to be executed by devotees, right? Yes. So, and if we don't give up this desire of becoming a very important person in this world, yes, if we like to control and enjoy and be a prominent personality, okay, next life you can be Lord Brahma with 100 heads. So we have to be careful, because there's also in Nectar of Devotion, there is a verse which says, or not verse, of course, statement, where Prabhupada says, as long as we enjoy this, this desire of becoming a more and more important person, either spiritually or materially, but even also spiritually, then we cannot really taste the really sweet taste of devotional service. I mean, when I read this the first time, it struck me actually, because don't we all try and be an important person in our own little ways, So as long as we enjoy that becoming an important person, even in the spiritual sense, you know, as long as we are running after 55,000 followers on our YouTube channel or Facebook page or whatever, you know, then yeah, we are maintaining this false ego gratification. And then we taste something different. We don't actually taste the really sweet taste of devotional service. We taste false ego gratification. Very clear. Just, I mean, I am not very much out there on social media. I even live without a mobile phone, so I do have a Facebook page, but I'm hiding behind my Institute for Spiritual Culture, so it's not in my name. And just not long ago, one very, very senior devotee, he asked me, and how many followers do you have, Mataji? And I didn't even understand what he meant, you know, because I'm not out there, you know. And I said, followers? What do you mean followers? I don't know. And then I said to him, I'm not after followers. Because I mean, we're chanting every morning Shikshastikam, you know, we don't want any number of followers. But here we are running after followers on our social media platforms, you know, so yeah, and these things are very subtle. And it can all be justified with preaching. Yes, it's all preaching. But yeah, if we are really introspective and honest, then we have to recognize that there's some other desires there, you know. Yeah, so as long as we are watering these desires, we better watch out. We may end up being a demigod in our next life. Yes, there's also another little statement. Oh yeah, here. That's 11th canto, 7th chapter, verse 17. The material world is a gigantic prison whose inmates are subjected to birth, death, old age, and illusion. And a pure devotee has no desire to remain there, even as a first-class prisoner, like the demigods. So this is, of course, not Prabhupada, 11th canto, but still it sounds like something Prabhupada would say, calling the demigods the first-class prisoners. But still, they're also prisoners. They're also in the material world and also subjected to birth, death, old age, and illusion. And yeah, Prabhupada used to also sometimes say, you know, if we worship the demigods, all right, we can maybe get an extra blanket. We can get an extra blanket in the prison or an extra cup of tea. But, you know, the demigods, they're just little supervisors there in the prison, so they don't have the power to let us out. But they can only give extra blanket, extra cup of tea. Yeah, so no need to worship them. Of course, for us Western-bodied people, I remember when I first heard the second offense, I think it is, to the holy name, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal or independent of the name of Lord Krishna. I was thinking to myself, oh, thank God I don't have that problem, you know, because we don't grow up worshipping the demigods. But then I realized, no, we have that problem too. Because our demigods, they have different names. They're not called Shiva and Lord Brahma, but they're called here Facebook, Instagram, and Vastu and astrology and all these little things which gives us some temporary benefit. And when we think they are more important, we consider them as more prominent, more important than chanting the holy name. You know, even yoga, Ayurveda, whatever it may be, you know, so if we think them to be more important than chanting the holy name, then we also have our little demigods there. Yeah. Yeah. So only if we consider chanting the holy name as being the most important thing, then we don't commit that second offense. Because obviously the 10 offenses are relevant for everybody, not only for those who are born in India or something, you know, come from Hindu background or something. But no, you know, for us the demigods simply have a little different name there, you know. Yes. Then also another interesting point Prabhupada makes in regards to worshipping the demigods. Where is it? Yeah. So this is in 8th canto, so it's Prabhupada again. Anyone who is a devotee of Lord Krishna is called a Deva, and others, even though they may be devotees of demigods, are called Asuras. Ravana, for example, was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he is described as an Asura. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu is described as a great devotee of Lord Brahma, yet he was also an Asura. Therefore, only the devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Sura, not Asura. Wow. You know, if we would say that to a big Indian-bodied audience, yeah, they may not like it so much, you know. Yes. Yes, but this is an interesting point, you know, that just worshipping the demigods is not enough. Here we have the examples, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, they seemed so devout, so devoted, right? Yes, and they had a lot of knowledge too. It's not that they were stupid, they actually understood, you know, the Vedic knowledge. But they simply wanted to use it to establish themselves as superior. Yeah. So they were misusing that knowledge, you know. So these things may also easily creep in subtle ways into our heart, you know. Yes, yes. That we use Krishna consciousness to show off. You know, to show how learned we are, to show what an amazing kirtaniya we are, and whatnot. So many verses we know, and you know, so this is all that same mentality actually, to misuse that knowledge in order to establish ourselves in a superior position. Yeah, so because very easily we read different pastimes and we think, oh yeah, interesting Leela, such nice story, you know, and we don't so easily understand that, actually, this is relevant for me, this story is all about me. You know, especially here in the Shingadai, Hiranyakashipu. So, this is us. We all have a little Hiranyakashipu there in our hearts. By the way, you know, going back to the story with Prithumaj in Indra, the equal association always shows where we stand, right? If we have to share our influence with somebody similarly influential, this is the toughest for the fourth ego, the most hidden and the most biting forms of envy, hidden in the most secret corners of the heart, they come to the surface when we associate with equals. Yeah, that's what these stories illustrate with Prithamajalindra. The equal association, very, very important for purification. There's His Holiness Radha Swami has this formula for association. As far as I understand, it's not a Shastric formula, but he kind of came up with it himself, I believe, in order to illustrate how important equal association is. That he says out of 100% association, 60 should be spent with equals. 60%, that's a lot. Yeah. And only 20 with juniors. And 20 with the top, with most senior. But 60 with the equals. So of course, while we are still relatively young in Krishna consciousness, that's quite natural. In the brahmachari ashram, all the young bhaktas, so they have a lot of equal association. But then as we become, more senior, so-called senior, whatever it may mean, then very often we just are surrounded by young devotees and we hardly have any equal association. And then very easily we become like little demigods there in our communities. I'm not talking about you, Pooh. Don't worry. Yes, but see, I'm traveling practically all around the world, so you observe these things, yes. So, and we may feel most comfortable in that situation, being surrounded by the juniors, But we should have 60% equal association. Yeah, that's a challenge for seniors, Yes, so very important to be aware of this, to be eager for this equal association, and not to, subconsciously avoid it. That we think, oh, I don't have time to go to this event. Who will do the service in my place here? I have to stay back, But now we should take, every opportunity to have equal association. Very, very important. Very important. And I guess that's why, we introduced in ISKCON the ILS, the ISKCON Leadership Sangha, every 2 years. This happens in Mayapur. So many leaders come to Mayapur and they associate. And then every other year we have the Guru Sannyas GBC Sangha. Yes, because also for them often not so easy to get equal association unless they are in the GBC meetings, but there's all management meetings and so this Guru Sannyas GBC Sangha is simply where they're churning all different topics and they go for outings and just to have this equal association. And this is not always easy, it's not always easy. That's also one nice side effect of these festivals. I've just come from the Baltic Summer Festival. There's all kinds of personalities come together. Who did we have there? Bhakti Chaitanya Swami and Ananda Vardhana Maharaj and Vishwavasu Maharaj and Shutakirti Prabhu was there talking about Prabhupada, and Mahatma Prabhu was there, and who else? Oh, Navina Nirada Prabhu was there. there were seminars during the day and then nice evening kirtans. So Atma Prabhu was one of the kirtaniers. Yeah, so this eco-association, you know, even for kirtaniers, when they say, oh, there's so many other kirtaniers and I only have my 45-minute slot here, and then I have to finish in time and can't just go on and on and on. You know, sometimes you have this, that people, they don't finish, you know. It was like that a few years ago. Now they're kind of tuned into the system that you have to finish and that the other person, you know, let them have a go, you know. Yeah, so in these events, there's always some purification going on. I remember many years ago, I took these kind of festivals to different parts of the world, to Scandinavia and Nepal and Bangladesh and so on. And yeah, well, I won't mention any country name, but it was quite funny. I was kind of like the MC there, opening the festival. I was inviting all the swamis and so on, and coordinating the whole thing. And then one of the Mahajas on the opening ceremony, I gave everybody a chance to say something from the speakers. And then one of the Mahajas was saying, yes, many years ago I attended this kind of festival in Ukraine. You know, we had this Bhakti Sangam festival there. You've been there, Prabhu?
8 years. 2005, 2012, it was wonderful.
Yes.
We had kirtans for like 3 hours for like 7,000 people and stuff.
7,000, maximum was 12,000 people there.
Yeah.
And they were all locals. No people from Hindu background or something. They're not there in Ukraine, you know. Few students we had, few Indian students, but only a very small group, you know. Yeah, I mean, these festivals were out of this world. So anyway, this Maharaj was saying, yeah, some years ago, I went there and I felt like a little mosquito amongst all big elephants. And then I never went back there again. And now Devaki Mataji is bringing all the elephants here to this country. He was, you know, he kind of was, yeah, I was really moved. He was sharing this in front of several hundreds devotees, and some of them were his disciples, you know. But he was kind of saying how he actually felt a little uncomfortable, like the little mosquito amongst the big elephants, and oh no, now these elephants are coming here, you know. So it was quite funny, but that's what eco-association does, you know. If you're alone, you feel like the big elephant there, and then, oh, there's bigger elephants coming, you know, and okay, I'm not so big at all, you know. Yeah, so on all levels, this eco-association is just very important, you know. And we can see, I mean, yeah, here Paris maybe not so much at the moment anyway, but in other parts of the world, practically everywhere I go, I can see how there's some tension, some struggle, some power games and ego battles, you know, amongst the senior equals there, you know. Yes. So and often people don't realize, they think, oh, it's just some personality clashes or something. But no, that's where the most subtle forms of envy and false ego, they come out, you know. If we happily share our influence and we want others to be more glorious, more successful than we are, right? That really requires non-envy. But as long as we have this mood of saying, yeah, of course we are equals, but actually I'm a little superior, and I'm going to prove it to you, you know, and then immediately the competitiveness enters, you know. Yes. So yeah, eco-association, very important, and there we can see, you know, where we stand and so on, you know. And of course also last point I want to mention. As we know, Krishna is equal to all, right? Krishna is equal to all, to everyone. Yeah, that's one of his qualities, that he's equal to all, right? Because he is not attached to be worshipped, you know? Then you can be equal to all, because you're not giving some little favors there just to make sure the puja continues and you know. So, but the demigods, they're not equal to all, they're very partial, you know. Yes. So, and even after, you know, Lord Brahma gave Hiranyakashipu all these benedictions, then the Lord, after he killed Hiranyakashipu, he told Lord Brahma, so next time please don't give these benedictions, you know, it only causes trouble, you know. Yeah, so, and we devotees also should aspire to develop this quality of being equal to everyone and not having our favorites and they are, you know, our followers, and therefore we give them some little privileges just to make sure they continue supporting our thing there, and you know, all these things are going on, you know, all these little things that cause politics to manifest. So, but now, as a devotee, we should be detached. And then we can be truly equal to all. And we can say what needs to be said, and we can do what needs to be done, you know, without always worrying, oh, you know, how will my reputation be affected by this? And people may not like it and not support me anymore, and you know, so, you know, Brahminical quality is that we are aloof of the public opinion, and we do and say what needs to be done and said, and that's the Brahmana's duty, you know, to uphold the standards and so on. And there we have to be beyond this partiality and wanting to be liked and worshipped and so on, you know. So it's an important quality for devotees to cultivate. Yeah, so in any case, let me finish by saying how Krishna consciousness is really an internal process. You know, it's not a matter of just becoming famous and having some title and position and influence and this and that, and how many people know me and all these kind of things. That's not a sign of advancement at all, not at all, you know. But it's all a matter of doing some internal work, of introspecting, reflecting, trying to uproot all different unwanted qualities there by crying out to Lord Nrsimhadev. And yeah, so that's what the process of bhakti is all about. Not just running after followers on our Facebook page or whatever. You know. That will be the path to demigod, becoming demigod. But if we want to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, then we have to get rid of all that. Okay, so let me see if we have any further points for discussion, questions, comments. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you very much for the class. Very interesting points. I was thinking of two beautiful examples that support what you said. One thing happened in Mumbai, also with Radha Swami.
Say it again.
One thing happened in Mumbai, in a Chopati with Radha Swami.
When what happened?
Something happened.
Huh?
Something happened in Mumbai
Something.
with Radha and Swami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which thing we haven't heard yet?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
it was during a class, Maharaj was talking about all the little anatta in devotional service,
Okay.
as described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he came to the anatta of sometimes becoming proud when we do something very good in devotional service.
Mm.
And one devotee asked the question, what to do? Sometimes if I do something good, devotees are praising, and I cannot help becoming proud. So Maharaj, with his sense of humor, he said, oh my dear Krishna Das, you're such a wonderful devotee. Actually, you did so many wonderful devotional services. And for 10 minutes, he actually described the wonderful devotional service done by the devotee. And then he smiled and he said, you're so wonderful, you're doing so many wonderful devotional service that it's going to be very hard for you to go back to Krishna. Like you say, when we are too much praised, it's dangerous. The other example was the beautiful example given by Bhakti Swami. Actually, Bhakti Swami was praying to actually take all the burden of the sins of the people in the world, so they could go back home to Godhead. And very shortly after, he got terminal cancer.
Yeah.
That was impossible to fight. So while preparing for death, he did many things. First, he sorted out all the pending bad relationship. After, he asked all his god brothers and sisters to write to him. He said, it's my only food. And then he came to a point close to what you described. And he said, actually, don't write to me anymore, because we were praising him. And he said, actually, now we have to give up this identity of Bhakti Swami, with all maybe the fame and the appreciation. I have to be ready to go back home, back to God.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that nice example. Yeah, maybe I can quickly take the opportunity to say a few words about the books I have, because I have a new one, which I think most of you haven't seen. The Vanaprastha, Meeting Death with Joy. This is a very important topic. Vanaprastha is practically not established in ISKCON yet. And this is even the first book out on the Vanaprastha. Nobody else has published anything yet. Yeah, that's the phase when the children are grown up and established in life, then the parents should move on to the retired form of Krishna consciousness. And even the brahmacharis should also know about this, so they can preach it, and that they can also very much keep in mind to plan their own life properly. Not that the brahmacharis get married when they're 49 and then they start with babies. So often I see this, you know. So then you miss the boat of the Vanaprastha ashram, of course, you know, because Prabhupada always stresses 50, at the age of 50, plus minus, we should move on. So, but if we start with family life when we are 49, then we missed that boat already. Then we will be 70 by the time the kids are established, or even older, 75. Yes. So this is such important knowledge that everybody should have. What is this manifestation all about? And we have to make more effort to preach it and bring people's attention to this topic. And there's a whole chapter on death. Actually, at the festival, I want to give some seminar sessions on meeting death with joy. What happens there on the very subtle level, how to prepare, and how to support others in this final journey. By Krishna's arrangement, I have accompanied quite a few persons in this last 1-2 weeks. And it's a very important service, actually. And often I come across this. Now at the Baltic Festival, I was also giving a seminar on this topic. And people came to me saying, yes, last year my mother died and she's not a devotee, and I was standing there, I didn't know what to do, So I'm giving very practical considerations, what to do concerning our own departure, what to consider and plan as much as we can plan, but we should plan. And then let's see if Krishna accepts our plans or if he makes some different plan. But we can't not plan. Sometimes people just are so much in denial and they pretend it never will happen to them, and they don't even think about it, where they want to live and who they want to have around them, and. But they're all important topics to consider, So yeah, that's my latest book, which just came out a few months ago. And then the other one, some of you may have seen, Family Life as an Ashram, Secrets of Success, how to create the culture of bhakti in one's family life. Also very good preparation, because often people get married with zero preparation. They have no clue what are the duties, moods, husband, wife, and then they're facing so many challenges and issues, so we have to educate ourselves. By the way, all these books are 15-hour courses, which I give in Mayapur usually. Yeah, so very helpful for family life. And if children grow into this culture of family life, then very naturally grow in this culture of bhakti, then very naturally they take to Krishna consciousness. If the culture is there, culture of kirtan, culture of puja, culture of sadhana, if it is naturally lived by the parents, then the kids very happily take it to it. But if the culture is not there, and it's just rules and regulations, that's not attractive. And then we have Entering the Grihastha Ashram. This is a handbook for matchmaking. Yeah, I have the feeling some here may concern this. Yes, how to see that a boy and a girl are compatible for marriage. And even in India, of course, the culture is still there, but people in India, they have lost the knowledge of matchmaking. And all they're looking at is caste and money, But all the devotional aspects of matchmaking, they don't even look at. And now in India also, divorce rate is increasing. Like anything, people often get divorced now after 6 months of marriage. That is because of bad matchmaking. Because after 6 months of living together and being married, then people realize, hey, we are not matching. We have completely different moods and attitudes. So there's a whole list of over 200 topics which should be discussed with a cool head to see, are we on the same page? Do we have similar moods and goals and all that? Because Krishna Consciousness gives a very broad spectrum, how to practice it. We can be on the very casual and liberal side, or we can be on the committed and serious side. So that all has to be compatible. And then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Actually, in this book, there is a chapter how to glorify devotees without boosting their full ego. Yes, it's an art. It's an art. Because, 40 years ago when I joined, we didn't have this system that we always glorifying devotees with drums going, ki jai, ki jai, ki jai. This, I'm sure, Mandakini Mataji can confirm that in the early days we didn't do these things. It only came up in the last 20 years or something. Naturally, the bigger the audience is who hears that I cooked the Sunday feast, the more it boosts my ego, But when we go privately up to people and say, oh, thank you so much for cooking the feast, it was wonderful. Dal was a little salty, but everything else was really nice, so then we can give appreciation personally, privately, and it's actually more of a loving exchange than this institutionalized glorification thing there. So there's a whole chapter on that, false ego, yes, our constant companion and troublemaker. And there is also a chapter on chanting the holy name in japa and kirtan, how to chant. And then we have sheltering the relationships. This is all about the importance of having a counselor, a mentor, a coach. Just having guru not enough. We need somebody who guides us regularly. And eventually we should become a mentor to others. And then we have spiritual culture, Krishna's divine system. This is a very controversial topic. This is the topic of the gender confusion, that man, woman are not equal. Equality is on the level of the soul, but on the level of the body, they're so different. Yes, because they're meant to play different roles. And we women are very powerful, we have a powerful Shakti. We can bring the very best out of a man, or we can ruin his life. That's the power of a woman. So in India, Pune, Chaupadi, they use this book as a handbook for brahmachari training. Yeah, even though the whole book is about women. Just so the brahmacharis also understand what is woman's role, and that man-woman equality that puts the whole human society upside down. That's what you realize when you read this. And Prabhupada saw it all, he said it all, but we are so conditioned by this equality, and we all buy into it, and we don't realize how it puts the whole human society upside down. Yeah, so if any of you would like to get some books, it would be my honor to put them in your hands. I feel such great urgency to get these books.
Are they available in online version? Because sometimes, to be honest, collecting so many books and carrying them every time it's...
No, you don't have to carry them. You read it and you give it away. That's what I do. I read it and give it away. Nice present. So the last two books, they're 10 euros each. The other ones are 15 euros each. So if you want to get any books, please let me know. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada King. Go. Or what about this program tonight? Do we have a program?
Yes. This evening, after Gora Arati at 7, Bhakti Mataji will...
After Guwahati?
You thought before?
Well, we were saying during Guwahati, so that all these people who just come for the Adi and walk home, that they actually cultivate this habit of hearing something.
So those who come for Gora Arati, they will come to your class during Gora Arati, I mean.
See, many people, especially the Indian congregation, they just come for the Aarti, for the pious thing of attending the Aarti, and then they go.